Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Leela Rhodes and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at Netcom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are very excited to host today's masterclass, Microsoft 365 Masterclass, and presenting today's topic is James Laws. James is an IT professional with over 20 years of experience in delivering trainings and consulting services in key subject areas like Excel, Power BI, and data analytics. He has created content according to the materials provided by many companies to execute classes for students on a variety of software applications, including MS Office, Tableau, Windows 10, Adobe CC, Office 365, Power BI, SQL, Power Apps, Dynamics, CRM, and many more. Now, please bear in mind that this is still just an overview of a very robust topic, but we do offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored toward your specific learning requirements. And if you're interested in a further discussion about any of those, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at www.netcomlearning.com. Netcom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organizations by achieving a smarter workforce, adopting change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. And we have 9 practice areas in which we specialize. They encompass people, process, and technology training. Today's presentation is from the business application practice area. Netcom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio for business application courses, and our upcoming classes include various trainings on MS 900, MD 100, MD 101, and many more. Also, private training to teams is available, and those learning plans can be individually customized to the specific needs of that audience. You can also access a variety of business application marketing assets, such as the free 2-hour training, by clicking on the available webinar handout, and these offerings can also be found with a simple search on our website at www.netcomlearning.com. This session is designed to help your team demonstrate foundational level knowledge on the considerations and benefits of adopting cloud services and the software as a service, SAS, cloud model focused on Microsoft 365 cloud servicing offerings. And now, without any further wait, I'm going to go ahead and pass the time over to James because he is who you guys are all here for.
So welcome. Leela did introduce me. I'm just going to go to this slide real quick. My name's James. That way you can see who I am and put a picture to a name. These are just some of the Microsoft certifications that I have. I am working on other certifications. I'm working on my Microsoft Dynamics certification. I'm working on Amazon AWS certification. Lots of different things going on for me in terms of certification. I've been doing training since 2011. Leela went through all the different things that I've taught. So yeah, that's a little bit. And I've been in IT since '88, and I've covered a whole wide range of different projects and implementations all over different business sectors and things like that. So today we're going to be covering a couple of different topics within Microsoft 365. Mostly talking about high-level overview of what the concepts are, how Microsoft helps you with productivity and teamwork capabilities, as well as some management capabilities that you can do within Microsoft 365. Hopefully I will have time to pop over and do a couple of little demos, but this is a lot of content that we're covering in this. I may just end up sticking to the slides. Except maybe at the end where we have opened up for questions and answers, I'll probably pop over to my training tenant that I have set up for Microsoft 365, so you can see some of the integrations and capabilities and things that you can do within Microsoft itself. So let's get started here. I'm There we go. So the first section here is just talking about cloud concepts. Now, with cloud concepts, there is a lot of different topics that we are going to be covering. This is probably the most robust area of the of these three sections. So we're going to be covering a couple of different options within here, talking about all of these different topics. So cloud computing is basically the delivery of different computing services, whether that's servers, storage, databases, software, analytics, intelligence, and other things that are being provided to you over the internet, right? And that's where the word cloud comes from, right? Cloud basically means that it's not being stored directly on your computer or directly in your building for your organization. It's actually being stored somewhere else. And that's where the cloud computing aspect comes into that. So instead of having a data center where you have to manage servers and hardware and memory and disks and CPUs and all that other stuff that you would have to do if you wanted to have a in-house data center, or what IT people call on-prem services. You can rent these services now on cloud-based computing platforms through a cloud service provider. When you choose to do this, this shifts a lot of responsibilities over to the cloud service, so that you can better focus on your business and less on the underlying technologies to help your business. The goal of cloud computing is to make running a business easier and more efficient. It's really great for small startup companies, and it is very effective for large enterprises as well. So it does have great scalability built into it. Right. So you have all of these compute services, communication services, productivity services, and search services, as well as storage services that can be set up as cloud related services. Now, when we're talking about the different models that you can utilize, you have a couple of different options that you can deal with. What we're talking about is whether we're going to be dealing with CapEx funding or OpEx funding. So CapEx is capital expenditures. This is dealing with purchasing the hardware and setting up your on-prem data center and things like that. These would be those types of expenses that are typically a one-time, relatively large expenditure that can be depreciated over time, on your taxes and whatnot. Then you have your operating expenditures. Those are OpEx. Those are the organizational costs that you incur during normal business operations. These include things like the electricity that you consume for your data center, the cost of the employees to manage and support your data center, the space that you need to utilize for that data center, and any internet connections that you pay for on a monthly basis for your internet service provider. All of these are operating expenditures because they are continual expenses that go over time rather than a single expense. So those are the two different expenditures that we're talking about. When you're dealing with on-premise environments, on-premise is heavily into CapEx. So there are a lot of capital expenditures. You're dealing with storage costs, network costs, backups, servers, all sorts of different things, as well as personnel to maintain the data center, keep it going, upgrading it when it needs to be upgraded, all those different things that you would need to be concerned about when you have an on-premise data center. When you shift over into the cloud, you change the way that your expenditures happen. Cloud-based services are more OpEx related, so they're more operating expense related. The cool thing about the cloud-based is that you're leasing the information or the hardware for your services. You can also get customized features and software that can be also leased on a pay-per-use model. They can also be on a month-to-month subscription. If you all of a sudden get a surge in business and you need more computing strength for your servers and stuff, you can scale it up really quickly, right? So rather than having to struggle with what you have until you have the funds to be able to purchase another server, you can just say, hey, we need more processing power here, or hey, we need larger data storage here, or whatever we have here, and then it scales according to your business needs. And then finally, you get billed at an organizational level. So these get billed on either a pay-per-use or a monthly subscription, and they are billed to the organization. The organization then has the ability to, if they want, break it down into the separate departments. So you can spread the operating expenditures across all the different departments that you want to for their budgeting and different things like that. So it shifts the finances from a administrative overhead, which is the capex heavy side of it, where you can't really break down the all the IT costs to that, to where you're able to have billing done at like a user level. Even if it may be billed at the organization level, you can easily break it down saying, well, this user is the one that's using that particular service, so therefore we're going to put that into that person's department funds for their operating expenditures. And so it kind of shifts the responsibility from administrative overhead to departmental heads and things like that. So it's a shift in that responsibility, and it gives more latitude for people that want to be able to invest more into growing their infrastructure. There could be some departments that would want to be able to expand what they're able to do, and their budget would be able to allow them to do that if they so choose. Now, there are some different models that are out there when we're talking about cloud computing models that you have. This basically is just how your data is set up, stored, and how your customers would actually be employees in most cases, would interact with the data that's in the cloud model. I mean, you can have systems that are set up for your business customers and clients and vendors and different things like that as well when you're talking about these cloud computing models. Basically, we're talking about how do they get to the data, what applications are they going to run, how you want to do that. And it is very flexible, which makes it nice so that you can deploy this in a whole range of methods that you can utilize. But one of the more common and more broader terms is called the public cloud. This is going to be the most common deployment model that we are going to have. There is no local hardware that you have to manage. Everything is run on the cloud service provider's hardware and infrastructure, and therefore they're in charge of making sure that the hardware, the services, the servers, the software, and all the infrastructure is up to date. And because of the competition that is out in the cloud industry, that is like a priority for them, making sure that everything is up to date and having the most available features and functionality for the most up-to-date servers and software that you can have with that particular environment that you've set up. Cloud email is where you're going to be sharing common resources, like email is a cloud service that would be shared across many users. Each company is only aware of its own cloud service account. In Microsoft terms, that is called a tenant. And the cloud service provider who manages this multi-tenant environment is aware of different accounts running within the same cloud system. This model is great for smaller businesses that are looking to save costs because they're sharing computing resources for other cloud users, and this is going to be cheaper for them than dedicating resources to a single account. Now you have shared versus, I talked about shared a little bit. Dedicated public cloud is typically for larger enterprises who require more physical infrastructure and may want to have a little bit of things like customized on their cloud environment. So with a dedicated cloud, what you're doing is you're basically dedicating the physical infrastructure that is at the cloud service provider only for their use. These can be things like on-demand sandbox environments or high priority business applications that can be set up on dedicated infrastructures. The costs are going to be a little bit higher than that of what a shared public cloud was going to be, but the dedicated public cloud gives you a little bit more security. It offers better performance, and it allows you some customizations within the cloud system itself. So those were the shared and the dedicated services. Now there are some advantages to using public clouds over an on-premise data center. They are going to be lower costs. You don't have to worry about maintenance, and it has a near unlimited scalability. Plus, they also have high reliability, so they usually have failover systems in place and everything in place so that your system can be up and running as much as possible. When we talk about a private cloud has the environment where it's your own data center, right? So you have the resources. The things that you have in here are the security. You do have the high scalability. You have a little bit more flexibility because you're able to customize a private cloud a little bit more to suit your business. A lot of reasons to move off into a public cloud is, especially for small to mid-sized businesses, you're going to have a lower CapEx cost. They're relatively high when you're dealing with an on-premise environment. And then finally, the last model that we have that is available is a hybrid. Now, what a hybrid is basically a combination of cloud-based services and on-prem based services for your applications. Typically, large enterprises will have a hybrid environment, and that's just because of the nature of the business, number one. Number two, they want to make sure that there are certain services that they may not want to have available in the cloud, offering you much higher security because it's all in-house and you don't have to worry about any of the data that would be on those systems getting out, except through like insider risk and stuff like that. But that way, you're not having to deal with those types of things. So there could be business reasons. There could also be legal reasons, depending upon the state that you're in. Some states require you to have all your financial data in-house rather than on cloud systems. You know, and you go talk to your local and state governments about things like that. And then there are other environments that are out there. A lot of governments will have hybrid type cloud situations set up as well. Although more and more of the government institutions are actually moving over to a private cloud scenario, since Microsoft has actually set up a couple of environments that meet all of the government requirements for the different regulations, whether it's a U.S. or Germany or China or what other country might have specific requirements. They've set up these private clouds with these specialized regulations that meet and comply with those. So advantages of having this hybrid is the hybrid situation is you get to control what is in the cloud and what is on premise. It gives you a little bit more flexibility than one over the other. It can be more cost effective, moving the features that are not a high priority or a high need to be highly secured down with a on-premise environment. So like email and stuff like that. So it's going to save you costs over that. Some of the things that for going hybrid is they can't go fully into cloud, so they need to protect some sensitive data. They'll use hybrid to extend services for their on-premise, basically making it so that the on-premise environment is available for people that are on the go. So they can they get access to the services that are on premise by you know, out on the cloud. So when they're out on the go, they don't have to you know, physically be at an office location or something like that in order to run a specific application. They can run that basically from anywhere. And it reduces data protection costs and things like that as well by having this hybrid. When we're talking about cloud services that are out there, there are a couple of main cloud services that are provided within the excuse me, within our infrastructure here. You have what is called the Infrastructure as a Service, or IaaS. And this is a very flexible category of cloud services. Their service will provide you control over the hardware that runs on the application. But instead of having to actually purchase that hardware, you're actually renting it over time. And so that gives you the flexibility to do what you want to be able to do with that particular service. A common example of an IaaS would be virtual machines, and setting up those to be connected to your on-premise network. That way you can you know, customize that to have all of your applications on that virtual machine, and set them up the way that you need to quickly deploy those out to maybe your frontline workers or sales reps or stuff like that, so that they can have you know, they just need to have a computer to be able to get into the virtual machine that's set up with all of their systems in place. And that way you don't have to worry about sending them machines or things like that to worry about stuff. The next type of service that we have is a platform as a service, or a PaaS. This provides you with an environment that you can use for building, testing, and deploying software applications. It's a great cloud model for people that are looking to deploy services and develop service web applications and services and set things up like that. So the services like Exchange Online would be fully developed, so it's not something that you would want to use a PaaS for. But if you were doing something like setting up and deploying a web application, you would use that with PaaS, because you don't have to worry about installing the operating system, the web server, or even worry about updates. You would just be worried about setting up the web application then. So that's a common scenario for a cloud service, is to use a PaaS for custom web and mobile application development that will be able to connect up to like data that's on premise or data that you have stored in the cloud somewhere else. And then finally, the last one is the software as a service. These are essentially hosted and managed by the cloud service provider for the end customer. It's usually an architecture where one version is used for all customers, and it runs through either an on-demand or a remote desktop service or a web browser. Examples of this would include OneDrive, Outlook, Exchange Online, Sharepoint, Teams. All of those things are software as service applications that are out there and available for you to use. You can also use things like Exchange Online with an on-premise Exchange server in a hybrid cloud deployment model. So there are ways of being able to set this up. Another way to think of this is your service is done as layers. So if you're talking about understanding how this works, your software as a service, your cloud service provider is offering you all of these features as part of the service, right? So applications, data, runtime, middleware, operating system, virtualization, server storage, and networking. When you go to platform as a service, your applications and data you're responsible for, and the cloud service provider is responsible for everything else. When you go to infrastructure as a service, you're getting half of the services, you're in charge of the other half. So that's where, setting up virtual machines and things like that, those would be a great infrastructure as a service option there. And then when you're dealing with on-premise, you're dealing with everything. You're in charge of setting up everything, doing everything, maintaining everything. And so this is just showing you the different layers that you can have depending upon the service that you decide to utilize. Some of the things that you need to be considering when you're dealing with cloud service providers, you're relying on them to make sure that your data is safe. You want to make sure that there's no loss, theft, misuse by third parties, and employees of the hosting company, other customers, and even within users within your own organization, making sure that those cloud services are kept within the cloud service themselves and not being taken into places where you don't want your organization to have. There are organizational policies. There's also legal obligations to ensure that the privacy of their employees, their customers, and their clients are being met. So they need to make sure that privacy is in there. They also need to make sure that you are in compliance with many of the different regulations and policies, depending upon the industry that you're in. For example, healthcare, they have to follow HIPAA guidelines and policies. These policies are usually really complex based on the type of industry like for example, I know for like the HIPAA requirements, if you have a contractor, that contractor also has to comply with the HIPAA regulations that that you as the organization has, or you as the organization can be fined because your contractor didn't follow the HIPAA guidelines. So there are a lot of different guidelines, rules, and regulations based upon geography, industry, and as well as company-based policies that you may have within your organization. So and then there are certain, because cloud computing has been around for a little while, there have been rules and regulations that have been put into place by, certain government and regulatory agencies that change the responsibility of the cloud computing and providers so that they may or may not be held responsible if they do not comply. So it's up to you as the organization to make sure that your information is in compliance with all of those regulatory bodies. Some of the fines that you can get can be substantial and even crippling for a smaller or mid-sized business where they would not be able to recover from. And then finally, you need to worry about data protection. You know, you're running these things in the cloud, so all you need is an internet connection in order to get to it. You need to make sure that you are securing your data down. There are standard security practices, making sure that you're using like strong passwords and that the passwords are changed on a regular basis, making sure that you're setting the permissions for the person that is logging in to gain access to your data through the applications that they're running, only has the permissions that they need. And you're reviewing and auditing those rights and permissions on a regular basis, especially for those particular individuals that may have higher or more access to your data than other people would. Like IT administration staff typically have a higher level of access into data and things like that. So that those would be considered high risk accounts. You could also want to consider making sure that your data is is encrypted. So enforcing encryption across the internet, and while your data is at rest within, wherever it is being stored. And then you want to make sure that you're just performing regular auditing and monitoring of your infrastructure to make sure that everything's being done correctly and set up for you. Some of the key benefits that you have when we're talking about cloud computing. Cloud computing is cost effective, right? Since it is a pay-as-you-go pricing model rather than paying upfront for stuff that you may need, you just pay for what you need, and then if you need more, you just get more as your infrastructure grows and things like that. For example, a medium-sized organization is reaching its storage limits on its old on-premise Microsoft 2007 and Exchange server and Sharepoint server. So instead of having to go through and purchase brand new servers in order to upgrade to like the 2019 edition, they are going to just migrate over to the cloud. So they're just going to migrate their emails over to Exchange Online and migrate their Sharepoint server over to Sharepoint Online. They're not going to have to pay those large capital expenditures to get the information set up for them so that they have to do that. So then it's just basically moving over and paying for the pay-as-you-go pricing that's set up for that. Cloud computing is scalable. So if you have issues, you can scale both vertically and horizontally. So vertical scaling is known as scale up scaling. This is adding more resources, increasing the power of your servers. So this is like adding additional CPUs or additional memory onto a server. That would be considered vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling, which is known as scaling out, is adding more functionality. So instead of having one server to process emails, you then have two. So that's scaling out, requiring additional services that way. And so with cloud computing, you can very easily scale up both vertically and horizontally. Cloud computing is very elastic compared to on-premise environments. Workload changes. You could get a spike or a drop in demand, and you can set up your cloud computing model so that it can accommodate those spikes or drops by adding or removing services automatically. Right? So for example, let's say you have a website and you feature your company was featured in a news article and you get a spike in traffic overnight because of that news article. Because of your elastic setup, it'll automatically allocate more computing resources to manage the increased traffic. And then when the increased traffic settles down, the cloud notices that it has too many resources allocated to it and begins to remove them, thereby saving you money. You're only charging for when you needed to have that spike rather than it spikes up and then it stays that way until you manually move it down. So it's doing things like that for you. Another way that you can set this up is that your business is also workload changes throughout the day, right? So you have an application that are used by employees that are in the cloud. It'll automatically add resources during core hours when most people are using the application, and then remove those resources at the end of the day when the application isn't being used as much. You're always going to be up to date. You're always going to be current with the software and hardware configurations that you have. So the cloud service provider, their job is to make sure that you are on the most recent system configuration, including all the upgrades and everything that's in there, to make sure that you're running the latest and greatest tools that are available for your business to run. So they maintain the hardware. They'll perform upgrades as necessary to that hardware, replacing the hardware when it becomes too far out of date. This includes hard disks, making sure that they're set up with the information in them so that if a disk stops working, they're able to replace that without causing any loss of data for you. This saves you from having to go through all this lengthy process of having to replace your hardware and bearing the costs of having to keep your hardware up to date all the time. Right. And then the last thing is that cloud computing is reliable. When you're running a business, you want to make sure that the people that need to access your data are always going to be able to access your data. Cloud computing provides disaster recovery, data replication, data backup systems and services to make sure that your data is always safe and reliable and available for you. These are some of the capabilities that Microsoft 365 provides for every person that has a tenant within Microsoft. There are a lot of things that are built for you directly out of the box. You have product and teamwork capabilities, you have business management capabilities, and security and compliance capabilities. All of these services and features that are provided are using the software as a service model. They are hosted through Microsoft's service that is provided for the customers. When you purchase a Microsoft tenant, the way you do that is that you purchase a license and then set up your, give your tenant a unique name, something that is different than any other tenant that is out there in the world currently. And then you're given these other services basically free of charge. So all of these different things are out there and available for you. There are additional things that you can do. There are advanced features and services that with a higher paying subscription, you will get more enhanced services for these, but these are some of the services that you get right out of the box that are available for you. When we're talking about productivity, there's two types. You got personal productivity, so that's individual productivity for your employee, and then you have your organizational productivity, which is the sum of all the organizational productivities from the individuals, so that they have a organizational productivity. Some large enterprises will also have departmental productivity metrics that they can also utilize. Microsoft does provide both personal and organizational productivity capabilities through their AI tools that they have that are available. So some of the personal productivity tools that you would see are through Microsoft Viva, which would show you like a weekly summary, like at the end of the week, here's what you did, some suggestions on how to increase productivity and maybe work on projects that you need to work on. It indicates how many meetings you've been in for the week, how much free time you've had to work on other tasks and things like that. And if you even have the phone system hooked up with Microsoft Teams, where you're integrating your phone system in Microsoft, it'll even include how long you've been on phone calls and things like that as well. There are tools that will allow you to help you stay focused, so it will automatically suggest blocking out time on your calendar so that you can focus on projects and different things like that, so that you would have fewer distractions. There's even a focused mode feature that you can turn on that will turn off all the standard notifications like email notifications and different things like that. And it helps you be able to be a little bit more productive that way as well. It also helps you stay productive on the go. You'll notice a lot of the services that Microsoft provides, there are mobile services that are available that you can get on your phone or on your tablet, so that when you're not in the office and you're on the go, you can get access to that. As well as if you're not in the office and you're maybe on the road and you're in a hotel, you can actually go to the hotel's business center and log into your Microsoft 365 and look at emails and stuff like that on another computer as well. So there are ways of being able to do that. When we're talking about the organizational productivity, your organization wants to stay competitive in their market sector, and especially if you're in a commercial market sector, that landscape is changing rapidly. They want to be able to drive top line growth, cut costs, and better serve their customers. They want to unlock the potential that is there in their employees to drive different processes to make them more automated, as well as capture the knowledge of the organization and avoid potential security, compliance, or privacy risks that could derail this process. So they're trying to do all these things and make sure that the business is staying competitive. Every organization has unique requirements, so Microsoft does offer a variety of subscriptions and plans to accommodate the organizational needs. The plans, the exact set of features, the licensing and pricing can vary between countries and regions. For example, a Microsoft subscription for a non-US organization may be different than what it would be. Any pricing that you may see in here are going to be basic around US pricing for different things. I wouldn't know, for example, what the government high GCC pricing would be. That would be something that you would have to contact your regional sales rep to be able to figure out those types of pricing. I kind of have ideas on like nonprofits and stuff like that, but I don't know exact pricing for that. So when we talk about subscriptions, Microsoft has this wide range of subscriptions that are available. The enterprise subscriptions, those are going to be the Microsoft 365 Enterprise. Those are for, I'm going to say mid to large organizations. I typically won't see a small organization have an enterprise license. And if they do, if they have that, they're probably spending more money than they should on their license, because Microsoft also has a Microsoft 365 for Business license for their small and mid-sized companies. Any organization that is under 300 subscriptions should technically be on the Microsoft 365 for Business. You're going to save yourself some money rather than using the enterprise, and you're going to be able to get the same service with a business premium that you would get with a enterprise E5. It's pretty much dimes to donut, or if you put them side by side. If we have time, I can show you a comparison where we could throw them side by side so that you can see how they look, and you'd be able to see what's going on there. Microsoft also has an education platform. It's a little bit different. The cool thing about the education subscription is that it has faculty, students, and then for like the secondary school systems for like elementary and middle school and high school, they also have parents. So things like you want to go, your class is going to take a field trip. When I was going to school, I had a piece of paper that I had to take home to my parents to have them sign and bring back. And if I didn't get that back, then I couldn't go on the field trip. Now with the Microsoft 365 education, the teachers just have to say, mail the parents the, information for the field trip that's going to happen. And all the parents have to do is electronically sign it and send it back. And so it makes the process a lot easier. People can't lose things as much. The other thing that's really nice is it helps bring the parents into the educational process, because the parents will know, for example, if a student missed school that day, or if, what the homework was for the week and things like that, or whether there was a band practice or a football game or stuff like that. Those can all be pushed out through this Microsoft 365 education subscription. So it allows everybody to keep more informed, and it's a pretty cool system that they have set up. Microsoft also has a home edition. With the Microsoft 365 Home Edition, you can have your entire family on a Microsoft 365 Home. You can have up to 5 people on a 365 Home subscription, and they can have it set up where they can have up to 5 different devices on their own account. So everybody would have their own email address and everything. Plus, you'd be able to have integrated services where you could like share calendar or something like that, so that you can coordinate, your family activities and things like that that are happening, so that everybody would know what's going on. It also provides parental settings where you can set up if the person is set as a child, where you can set different things up so they're only allowed to safely surf on the web the way that you would like them to. So it does provide additional protections around that as well. When we're talking about the cloud-only model saves you from having to build your infrastructure. But if your company already has an infrastructure and they've invested in this on-premise hardware, it's gonna be a little bit of a task to completely abandon all that, especially if it's something that you just purchased. So the hybrid allows you the ability to get into your information and keep your critical systems on premise while allowing you to also extend your services through the cloud system. So it's basically like allowing people to have access to the things that they need, while still providing the security around any critical resources that you want to keep on premise. Now, how do you actually choose and figure out what's going on with that? Because sometimes it's a little difficult to figure out what's going on and how you want to do it. What you want to do is set up determining factors. There are 3 different areas that you need to consider when you are talking about setting up your model here. So we're talking about cost, we're talking about security, and then we're talking about functionality. So one organization may want to choose cost savings over the other 2. Not every organization is going to choose one of these areas over another at the same time. You could have 2 very similar organizations, and one would choose functionality over cost, the other one would choose security over cost and functionality. It all just depends which way you want to go with that, right? They're not equally important. Some smaller organizations might favor cost over the other, while larger organizations may put more into security and reliability, for example. It all just depends upon where you're at and what your business decisions, what you want to base your decisions on. But these are going to be 3 of the ways of determining what you would want to set up for the model that you're going to choose. There are some additional things that you may want to consider. If you recently purchased hardware for your infrastructure, you may want to just go to potentially a hybrid and wait until that hardware has been properly deprecated over your finances to make sure that it's doing what you want to be able to do with it. You don't want to invest in something and then have it automatically just be, decommissioned. You're losing a lot of the functionality for that recently paid for hardware. If you have outdated systems or hardware in place in your on-premise, you may want to speed up the move of that stuff over to cloud-based rather than having to pay for another huge chunk of capital expenditures. If you have limited in-house IT resources, if they're overworked, which 90% of the time IT staff are going to be overworked, they're going to have way too much to do. Shifting some of that responsibility by shutting down some of the on-premise services and moving those over to cloud-based services will free them up to be able to utilize their skills for your organization to be able to help with things like automation and workflow development and things in that nature, especially from a IT's perspective. Data analytics and things of that nature would be a lot more suited for IT staff to be able to assist with and help out with. The amount of money that you have to spend on things is going to be a pretty big consideration. So if you don't have $10,000 to invest in, a data center, you're probably going to want to use a cloud-based solution because it's going to be easier to do that. Many small companies and startups will start out using cloud-based services and setting and going that way, and then realizing that everything is is pretty good cloud-based. You can do a lot of things with just cloud-based services nowadays for your business. So I see a lot of the newer companies not even using any on-premise data services or anything like that, because everything can be placed out into the cloud and be safely secured and stored. When we're talking about ways to improve productivity, kind of mentioned that a little bit. Improving productivity, Viva is one of the good ways of getting through that. I am in chat communications to be able to engage your employees through your chats and things like that. It allows you to reach out to people. Hosting online meetings. An online meeting can be more productive than scheduling a conference room and making everybody go to the conference room. You're wasting their time going to those conference rooms where they can just, stop what they're doing and get into the online meeting and then get right back to what they're doing because they haven't really left their desk. Or so there are a lot of benefits to doing that. I especially like the ad hoc ones where it's like, hey, let's just do a meeting here real quick and we'll talk about this so that we can get this out of the way. Staying in touch by using email and calendars. Your calendars, contacts, and tasks are in all one place in Outlook. Outlook will go where you go using the mobile applications, and then you can prioritize things, and you can even share your calendars with other employees that you work with. You can use the mobile applications to be productive anywhere that you are. All of your apps are going to be kept up to date regardless of the device that they're on. And with standard Microsoft 365, you can have up to 5 computers set up and 5 tablets and phones set up on your single account. So that gives you access to potentially 10 devices that you could have your Microsoft applications installed on. You're able to store and share files. These can be done through Teams, through Sharepoint, through OneDrive without having to worry about additional passwords or things like that. And it just basically lets you empower all your employees to be able to engage in all of the different areas that are available for you. So all of these different things allow personal growth. This also gives you the ability to get into other growth that you have that are available as an organization. So when you get personal growth happening, organizational growth kind of like just follows suit for you, which is kind of nice. We're going to talk about chat here real quick in terms of Teams. So within Teams, you have one-on-one chat that you can do and utilize, so you can have single chats. You can also have what are called group chats. So those are group chats that can be private group chats where you just take a one-on-one chat and convert it into a group chat, or you can have a group chat that is within a team group that has been set up. Teams also allows guest access, so you can bring people outside of your organization into a team group and give them access to the files that are out there, and everything is safely secured down using Microsoft 365 identity services. You can also augment your team group by integrating other applications within your team to add additional features. So in this example here, there is a team group that is set up, and they added a Power BI dashboard as an additional tab, and that's how they extended their team channel that they're in, with the adding a tab to highlight a specific feature that they wanted to be able to share with the group. With this, you'll notice over on the right-hand side, there's a little comment icon right here that allows people to comment directly about the dashboard. So it promotes communication and says, hey, I really like this, but on this particular graphic here, can we also include something that does this? Or can we have it also do this? Or can we have it with maybe some buttons across the top where we can select a specific industry or a specific product line or something like that, where we can see what happens with the dashboard. So there can be suggestions that can be placed in these comments. There can be specific comments about, hey, what about this spike over here about this close date thing? What happened here? What was the reasoning behind that, and stuff like that, so that people can learn and grow from the experiences and the extensions of the applications that are put in there. You can also extend teams by using message extensions and chatbots. So you can deploy a chatbot within a team group that will let you answer certain questions and different things like that. A common example was like an HR group would have an onboarding team. So when somebody joins the organization, they're added to the onboarding team. That onboarding team has a chatbot that walks them through all the required documents that they need to fill out and submit to the HR department. And so that way they're not spending time in a classroom going through onboarding or utilizing one-on-one time with an HR person to go through all the stuff that they need to fill out. They're just going through with the bot that is walking them through the onboarding process. You can also use Power Platform within Teams. This allows you to be able to create your own custom applications within the team, and it gives you space right in the team that you can store the data to be used within that team. And then anybody that is in that team has access to that particular application that has been published to that team. So it allows you to be able to customize different solutions quite easily by using the Power Platform to do that. And then Teams has a whole bunch of third-party apps and services that are available within the Teams environment itself. Let me see if I can actually, I'm just going to pop over my Teams here real quick. Nope, didn't want calls. I wanted to go to Teams here. So if I go to Teams, if I click on the little plus to add something in here, it's going to show me the apps that I've used. So ones that I've used most recently. It's also going to show me other apps. These are standard Microsoft and or third-party apps that are out here that are available for you to be able to augment your experience within Teams itself. Some of these are bots that have been set up and configured for you. Other ones are different types of functionality that you may want to, deploy and different things of that nature. So there are different options out here and different features that you have depending upon what you're looking for. Let's talk a little bit about Yammer. Now, Microsoft Teams is there to help you with teammates on like projects or a department or things like that, where you can collaborate and work together on those particular objects. Where Yammer is designed to help you connect with people and set you up across the entire organization. It may be people that you might not directly work with on a regular basis. Yammer is basically a network. There is a network that you can that you set up when you use Yammer, and this is basically a single organization. People regularly collaborate in here. Yammer has a couple of different things. It's more set up like a blog. So I typically call this the Facebook for enterprises. For business is what Yammer is going to be. You can use this for organizational announcements. You can use this to resolve common business goals. These could be passion projects and different things like that that would be placed out here on Yammer. Like Teams, Yammer does allow you to connect over to other 365 applications. Like, for example, you can use the co-authoring feature to be able to edit and work on a document together within Yammer and things like that. It also gives you security, just like all the Microsoft 365 features. It gives you the enterprise level security to help protect your data. And Yammer is also compliant, so it stays compliant with your legal and regulatory requirements as well. There are also analytical tools that you can use as a Yammer administrator to see how your Yammer is being utilized and how it's being adopted throughout your organization. Stream is the video service that is set up to allow you to upload, watch, and share videos in a secure manner across your organization. They have done a couple of little things different with Stream, because Stream also does meeting recordings and things like that. So they've actually taken meetings that are recorded and they've kind of shifted it so it's not actually being stored on Stream anymore. It's actually being stored within the channel that you have that meeting in Microsoft Teams. And if it is not something that is set up in Teams, if it's set up by a individual organizer outside of Teams, it will be placed on the organizer's OneDrive. There are some options that you can do in relation to that, different automations that you can deploy with that for the content management and things like that. Basically, the organizer of those meetings, they are controlling the access for those meetings. Anybody that was in that meeting should have access to the meeting. If it was put on a team site, everybody has access to the recording. It will be posted on the channel in which the team meeting was created. If it was outside of Teams and organized, then the access would be controlled by the organizer because it's on their OneDrive. So they'd be able to then share access for that. So they're kind of shifting a little bit in terms of how Stream is actually utilized. Stream can be put within other applications, so you can embed a Microsoft Stream video in a Sharepoint site, or it's automatically placed in the channel for the team of where it's at. So it already has some integrations that are already set up for that. And it also automatically will include a transcript for you, which is nice. And with that transcript, you'll be able to discover the content that's out there within Stream because of the built-in intelligence that is set up within it. Next service we're going to talk about is email and calendaring. So that's all Outlook, right? Outlook is in there. Outlook is integrated with Exchange Online within the Microsoft 365 system. So Microsoft will synchronize all your emails, calendars, and contact information across all the devices that you have registered within your organization. All you need is an internet connection and the Outlook application, and it will keep you set up. If you lose your phone, for example, Microsoft has a way of being able to delete the data remotely so that your personal information will stay secure. Now, mind you, this delete data feature only deletes the organizational data. You would have to go to your cell provider if you wanted to wipe the phone off. It's not going to wipe your phone. So just be aware of that. You can customize your email. You can create a custom format with a custom signature, and this will allow you to keep that signature also synchronized across all of your systems or all of your devices. Admin has been streamlined and simplified, making the setup of new users, restoring of deleted accounts, creating even custom scripts and templates relatively easy for 365 email administrators. It also gives you leading edge anti-malware protection, anti-spam filtering to be able to help you protect against ongoing and ever-present threats that are out there. And then for any legal discovery and compliancy that you need to go through, they have e-discovery set up for Exchange Online as well. You can also, it also uses connected insights about the people that you're working with, both inside and outside of your organization, allowing you to connect up your LinkedIn profile with your Microsoft 365 profile to give you a better social presence within those particular segments that are out there. It also provides you with the Microsoft Viva information that you get as well. You can explore Office throughout your entire, all the devices, right? So you have 5 PCs or Mac computers that you can put them on. So that's computers or laptops. And then you can have 5 tablets. That would be iPad, Windows, or Android-based tablets that you could have registered in one user account on the organization. And Microsoft makes sure that they are kept up to date and secured, regardless of the platform and the operating system level that is on the devices. As an IT administrator, you can actually put restrictions on how low of an operating system level you want to have for certain iPads and Android devices. They have to be at a certain level. As far as the Windows tablets go, Windows tablets didn't even start coming out until Windows 8, and they should be capable for all of those things that are available for those particular tablets like that. The apps are always going to be up to date, so you're always going to get the service updates. And it also includes a lot of the intelligent features and capabilities to help you get better results when you're working mobile. So it redesigns the interface so that it works better for the device that you're on. And these are things that IT doesn't even have to worry about. This is all part of the service that Microsoft provides for you. I've been talking about Microsoft Viva. Microsoft Viva has a whole bunch of different things that are in here that can be customized and configured for your organization. So Viva Insights is just one of the ways that Viva allows you to be able to utilize stuff. It allows you to bring what used to be called Workplace Analytics and My Analytics and Glint. So those were 3 different services that Microsoft had. They combined that all together into Viva now. And so it's unified. It gives you information as an individual for you to be able to stay connected with your colleagues, scheduling regular breaks, putting in focus work, and even scheduling learning activities. For managers, Viva can actually provide data-driven, privacy-protected insights So it's going to be for the managers, they're not going to see individual information. It's going to be augmented across the entire team to help foster more healthy and successful teams. So they can help a manager if a team member is at risk of burnout, for example, like they're always in meetings or they're always working. They're never really focusing or taking breaks. So you can help them encourage them to like turn off notifications, set a boundary on their calendar, setting focus time up and stuff like that to work on things that need to get worked on that are priority. For company leaders, for like upper management, Viva Insights can address complex issues by shedding light into organizational work patterns and trends. They can also include well-being opportunities, things like helping you plan your space for the workers to work in, and reimagine how the offices work for hybrid work and things like that. Microsoft Viva does ensure privacy and security for the individual. It uses aggregated and de-identified privacy. Within that, that means that personal insights are only visible to the employee, while the insights for managers and leaders are going to be aggregated and de-identified to protect that individual privacy that is out there. Right? It also has learning stuff that you can set up and use for different topics. So these are different topics for knowledge and expertise within your industry. It uses AI technology to identify experts within your organization and share those topics for those experts. And those things get surfaced as cards that flow right into Office and Teams. And then as far as the learning goes, the Viva Learning is aggregated content from LinkedIn Learning, Microsoft Learn, and any other third-party training content, as well as internal content that you configure within Viva Learning. It'll provide recommendations, allows a manager to assign, track, and report on training within their team or teams. They may have multiple teams that they are responsible for, so they would be able to do that. Employees can easily discover and share things from the different training courses to micro learning content, and managers get the tools that they need to be able to keep their employees on track with the learning and the courses that they need to foster a better learning culture. It basically helps you create a central learning hub for training and learning within teams, and AI built-in recommendations that'll give you the content that you need at the right time. So it allows you to pull things in from like LinkedIn Learning, Microsoft Learn, and then you can also bring other things from other different content providers like Skillsoft or Coursera or Pluralsight or edX. I've even seen some companies put like TED Talks and different things like that within their LinkedIn Learning. So it all just depends upon what your organization wants to foster for its learning systems. It also works with any on-premise learning management system or cloud-based learning management system that is out there. So it's pretty cool. There's also connections that is built within Viva. So the Viva Connections allows you to bring experiences in together within within Teams itself. So these are things like Power Platform, Microsoft Dynamics, pulling Yammer into a team. Those would all be done using the Viva Connections. So it allows you to pull in those different platforms to have them all in a basic one-stop shop within Microsoft Teams that you can do with that to deliver a complete employee experience in one place. It is open and extensible, so you can bring in all sorts of different things within the environment. They're just showing some of the Microsoft technologies, but there are third-party products, Adobe Sign, DocuSign, all those different types of third-party services that could potentially be out there that would be needed can also be shown as well. You have storage services, allows you to work from anywhere. You have secure sharing. You can collaborate with people within your environment for your options. These are for storage and sharing. This goes across all of your platforms, whether it's SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, what have you. As far as OneDrive, OneDrive is a personal cloud-based protected file storage system that provides a whole lot of features and services that are available for you throughout the entire system. I can't go into all of the different things that are in here, but it is a lot of features that are built into this service that is provided to you with 1 terabyte of file storage for cloud storage. SharePoint is a place where you can collaborate with documents, set up custom business process flows, forms, and lists within SharePoint site. There are different templates that are available. You get a SharePoint homepage right off the bat as part of your tenant build experience. Microsoft has heavily invested in accessibility features. So they have invested in things like for vision impaired people, these are color filters, the Tell Me feature, Soundscape, and the Read Aloud Immersive Reader that has been built into all of their Microsoft products, including their Microsoft Edge. You have the hearing aspects, which are Microsoft Translator, auto-generating of captions within Stream and PowerPoint and Teams meetings, and the Mono Auto feature, which does options to make it so people that are having hearing deficiency in one ear or the other. Neurodiversity, this would be focus assist and reading view to be able to cut down on distractions. Immersive reader and the editor in Word, as well as text suggestions to help with people that may have learning impairments, mobility issues. So this would be using dictation within Microsoft apps or the Tell Me feature. Mental health issues dealing with focus assist and to-do lists and things of that nature. These are all investments that they've put into play to address all of the potential work issues for those that may have impairments of one sort or another. Microsoft helps you with organizational productivity.
I pass our time over to Sagnik. He is our vendor marketing. He's actually going to introduce some of our promotions and webinar related courses. Sagnik, you with us?
Yes, ma'am. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for today's session. I hope you are enjoying this insightful training delivered by our esteemed instructor. I'd like to just borrow a few moments of your time to quickly walk you over some of the resources that we have put together for all the participants here today. So this is the event handout that you'd receive. You'd find it as part of in the attachment section of your GoToWebinar portal, and this would also be emailed to you. So please make sure that you look out for this collateral and go through it as we move forward. One thing we should really be thankful for is the recognition from Microsoft as the 2022 Microsoft Learning Partner of the Year So we had been recognized by Microsoft for this award this year. We were the #1 learning partner, chosen from around 3,900 submitted nominations from more than 100 countries worldwide. So this is a great achievement for us. We're really proud of it. And we really welcome all of you to come and engage with us and find out what really makes us the ideal learning partner for you for everything Microsoft. A few facts about Netcom Learning. As you all are aware, we were recognized by Microsoft as the #1 training partner of the year, and we have serviced over 80% of the Fortune 1000 companies with respect to our corporate clientele. We have a significant presence within the US government sector as well, having served over 100 plus US military bases and all the branches of the US government. Overall, more than 14,000 unique enterprise accounts have been serviced by us for enterprise training, having trained over 150,000 professionals and enjoying a recommendation of 96% from 96% of our customers. Our Microsoft trainings are delivered by a portfolio of more than 1,000 plus certified instructors. And this is just a few of the main aspects about us. We really encourage you to come connect with us so that our learning consultants can connect with you and have a one-on-one conversation, understanding your needs and putting together the best and optimal plan that works for you. It is not just Microsoft that our authorized training partnership is with. We are the authorized training partner for all the industry leaders from AWS, Cisco, CompTIA, PMI, Axelos, EC Council, Red Hat, Adobe, and Autodesk. Basically all the technology and business industry leaders. We have official authorized tie-ups for official skillings with all of these vendors. So wherever be your skilling need, we do have a solution for that. So we really encourage you to explore our portfolio and get started on your skilling journey. As part of this handout, you'd find the recorded link to today's session in case you want to come back and revisit some of the learnings covered as part of today's session. The link would be available in this section of the handout. For all the participants today, we have gone ahead and created free access to our Netcom 365 Learner portal. All you need to do is follow the links and activate your student portals. Netcom 365 is really one of the central hubs within the Netcom Learning ecosystem. All the enterprises, all the learners, they use it extensively for their skilling needs. All the participants today are entitled to the MS 900 Microsoft official courseware, and the access to that would also be available as part of this portal. So all you need to do is make sure you set up your account and activate your profile, and then you'd have access to all the amazing skilling resources, including the courseware that is part of today's giveaways. So let's quickly go over some of the latest offers on Microsoft official trainings and certifications. First up, the Microsoft Skilling Program is our one-stop end-to-end enterprise upskilling program specifically designed for the corporate clients. It is the comprehensive offering that we have tailor-made for our enterprise accounts, and it covers the entire official Microsoft training portfolio, be it Azure, Security, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, or Power Platform. Whatever be your requirement, we do have the right training solutions for you. And the best part about Netcom Learning is the very thing that we are very well known in the industry for and appreciated by Microsoft is we always go the extra mile to make sure that we are not providing you just a cookie cutter course. All the courseware, all the content is officially authorized from Microsoft, but we often work with Microsoft and our instructors to customize it and tie it to your specific requirements with respect to either the industry verticals that you are part of or any specific project requirements. Whatever be the requirement of your organization, we are going to make sure that the training agenda and the curriculum suits it perfectly. So we invite everyone to schedule for a free learning consultation with one of our top LCs. And some of the benefits include upfront 80% discount on your learning plan deployments. So if you consider the standard pricing of these courses, you get a lot of enterprise discounts on this, supported by the Netcom 365 portal for both the decision makers and the learners. So it gives you a 360 view of the skilling journey, as well as we provide easy enrollment through our state-of-the-art microsites that support you to deploy the training requirements and enrollments across your organization throughout the globe. Lastly, before we move on to the learning parts, the value of certifications have already been covered by our instructor. We highly recommend everyone to go through the free ebook that we have provided, the win-win of certification. Microsoft has gone to great lengths to collate and put together all interesting insights and stats and data based on the research that they have done. And it really talks about certifications from both the angles of the employer, the decision maker, as well as the employee or the learner. So feel free to check this out. And if you have any questions with respect to your own certification journey or your team certification journey, feel free to contact us and we'd be happy to guide you. And we are also aware that the government fiscal year is about to close with the funds. This is the final call, the last opportunity to secure your government training funds. At Netcom Learning, we are DoD 8140 compliant. We ensure the highest quality of learning, as supported with security clearance, government and military training expertise and experience. So feel free to leverage some of our nice budgeting tools like the Learning Passport or the Netcom Plus subscription, wherein you can park your training funds for a tenure of 1 full year from the day of your subscription, and you can utilize your training funds going forward with the flexibility and the ease as the requirements really come together. We do have the free 2-hour Microsoft private group training that we have available for all the learners. We highly encourage you to opt for this. If you have a team of 10 members or more, this is a great window into a private exclusive training session with our subject matter experts. We get the skilling plan support. You can customize the agenda of the training based on your specific requirements, and you get the highest quality of training from our Microsoft certified trainers. Netcom Plus subscription is for individual learners primarily. If you have a team, if you are an individual learner yourself, this might make a lot of economic sense for you, because it gives you, for $2,999 per learner per year, it gives you access to over 350 plus training classes, including 60 official Microsoft training courses. Learning Passport, lastly, is our enterprise budgeting solution. It empowers flexible team training fund management. You get access to the entire Netcom Learning authorized training portfolio of 4,000 plus official courses. Funds are valid for 12 months, and it increases your training fund value by up to 100%. Recommended courses and trainings, it has already been covered by our instructor. You'd find all the links listed here. All you need to do is just go to the topic that interests you. You have to click on it. You'd be landing on our official documentation regarding that particular certification, the courses you need to take, the exams that are part of it, and all of it. For our master classes, we do have 2 upcoming ones scheduled. So please feel free to use these links to register and continue your skilling journey with Netcom Learning. Back to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to do our question and answer session. Our first question is, they were wanting to know if there was a link to the recording. I forgot to ask, but generally there's not a playback for these sessions, and you will just have to re-register for, we do these every few months. Is that correct, Sagnik?
Yes, so there, even though the session is being recorded, if you want to go back and revisit, you'd get the recording link. But yeah, you have to fill in your details once again to access it. But we highly encourage everyone to participate in our follow-up sessions wherein they get access to the courseware as well.
Okay. And we're just going to take about 2 more questions and then we will wrap up. Our first question, I'm an IT security administrator and I've been tasked to figure out a better and more efficient process for onboarding of new employees. What technologies do you suggest?
Okay, so there are things in, let me see, can I take back over?
Yes.
So I would suggest using Teams. There's a couple of reasons why I would suggest using Teams. That Microsoft actually has a template out there for onboarding that you could potentially use as a quick up to, up and ready to go option when you are creating a team. They have these templates that are here that are really cool. So they have this one for onboarding that you could take a look at and see if it would actually fit. With a couple of tweaks, you get it up and running. So that's a real quick way to get something up and running. The other thing that I would suggest is utilizing a chatbot within that onboarding group that you set up to actually walk them through the process. And maybe even have some automated things behind the scenes that reminds them, hey, you haven't finished this yet for your onboarding, because you know how things happen where people will, get going with their work. They're all excited to work, and they forget about getting the onboarding tasks done. So that's a suggestion for something there that you could potentially do.
So this next question says, you look like, or you sound like you really like Teams. What applications have you personally deployed with Teams?
What haven't I deployed with Teams? I have deployed and integrated all sorts of different things within Teams itself. Whether it's automating things through Power Automate, creating custom apps through Power Apps, integrating other, let's see, do I have, where's my approvals? I have like, the approval process from Adobe. So Adobe Sign, I have integrated with this. So I've integrated other third-party systems in here. It just makes it really nice and convenient for developers, because Teams gives you a free space to actually create an app where you don't have to worry about data storage and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I like Teams over probably any of the other services that they have right now.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, and with that, we are actually gonna, we have more questions, but we're gonna have to wrap up just because we are on a time crunch. So thank you so much, James, once again for joining us. And once again, we want to thank you all for joining us today. If you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to us at webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. And we hope that you found today's session to be very informative. We look forward to seeing you back here with us very soon, and also feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Once again, thank you everyone, and have a great day.